And NNE, so Nano Nuclear, this is one of those hot names right now. It's loved by retail. Yesterday announced an offering. This is what's very interesting about NNE that's different than your typical offering that you see. So they did what's called a private placement. A private placement is when they're essentially diluting shareholders, right? They're still raising capital, but the capital they looked to raise was $400 million by offering new shares in the private placement. What is interesting about this that makes this different than regular dilution, which it's still dilution, don't get me wrong, but what makes it different than regular dilution is that it was oversubscribed. And what that means is the private placement, so when they went to these private shareholders, these private investors and went, hey, would you like to buy shares of our company? And they went, yes. And they said, wow, we have $400 million worth of shares we'd like to sell to you. And they go, we want $600 million. That to me is very bullish. Now, yes, that could dilute the stock even more short term, but that tells me the demand from private institutions or private investors on this name is extremely high, to the point where they were looking for 50% more exposure from that offering than they were originally willing to give, which is a very, very bullish thing in my eye. So as a result, I personally entered a long right around the support area here yesterday as we tapped the AEMA. We closed on the AEMA, so I think actually I finished red on my position. Here, let me look back. I got in right around here. So in between these, my two LOIs here of 47.43 and 48.05, breaking over 48.5, which we are currently sitting at in the pre-market here, could lead to a continuation here to the upside. Again, this is one of those momentum trades where it had a decent cool off here after a arguably pretty parabolic move on higher volume. Now, you did have a higher volume sell here, which is going to be typically a bearish thing, but selling off into the support, still holding that AEMA. I like this for an educated stab. And when I say educated, I'm saying don't go crazy with how much you're exposing to a name like this, but because of that one thing in that offering and how there was a higher demand for this name, you may want to consider at least looking at NNE for a near-term trade here. I mean, even if you got in right now, looking back to get to all-time highs here, that would net you, let's see if we got in right around here, back to all-time highs. I can't see because the thing's in the way, 20-something percent. So 25-ish percent. So good risk to reward here if you slap a stop on, or be careful because it's a little whippy. I really like NNE here for a short-term momentum trade.